Hello friends, in this video I am going to show you how to defend against the Scotch game. But first we will address what exactly is the Scotch game. So if you're playing with a white, so you'll start with e4, black response e5, then knight f3 and knight c6. So in normal variations you usually play bishop to b5, which is a Ruy Lopez. You can also play bishop to c4, which is an Italian game, but in a Scotch game you play d4, and that's constitute a Scotch game. So first let me tell you, if you as a white player, what how this is very aggressive opening for the white, and how you can really devastate the white player, the black, from this point. And then later in the video I will tell you how you should defend against the Scotch games. So friends, if your opponent captures e takes d4, which is also a book move, there is I'm not taking any credit away from this move. Then knight takes d4, knight takes d4, and then queen takes d4, and that brings white a very comfortable position at this point. All of the white's pieces are at their starting positions. White's queen has been developed. The light square bishop can be developed on c4, and the dark square bishop can be developed on f4, and then the knight can also play their parts, and then a queen and a king side castles are all possible from this position. But friends, let's go back to this position. Some weaker players tend to play on this d6 at this position, right? But then that's the point where you can really punish black. Say d takes e5. Uh, both the moves are possible. You can capture from the knight, or you can capture uh, from the pawn. So let's say d takes e5, and then boom, the queen's gone. Queen takes d8 check, and there is either you the thing is, you cannot capture from the knight, because then you will be giving a free pawn to a free pawn at e5. So you have to capture from the king. King takes d8, and now the king will always remains in the center, as the king has lost his ability to castle. So as a black player, you should not play d6. That is a mistake from the black. And even from this position, if you capture this from the knight takes e5, it will be very more frustrating, because then knight takes e5, and as soon as the d takes e5, then the same result it will be the same result, and then it will allow white again to develop its pieces far more quickly, because as soon as you develop your bishop, it's a wise move. And if white develops his bishop at c4, he's attacking onto this f7 pawn. So black will need one extra move first to defend this pawn, and then start on his development. So trust me, from this position, it's white will be in a very comfortable position. So friends, let's go back to this position where queen takes d4. Can black play c5, attacking onto the queen? Yes, you can, but I don't see a very significant advantage move from c5, because white will simply move the queen to d3. Queen is again and be a very active square, where he can uh, start an attack as well. Still, all the black pieces are at their starting positions, and it will take some time development to develop. This move is also not, I would say, not very recommended, because it is blocking the dark square bishop's activity. So what should really black play against the Scotch game? So let's see this. So friends, from this position where from d4, so you can capture e takes d4, and when black captures knight takes d4, you can what you can play queen to h4. So you are basically threatening to attack onto e4 pawn, and your queen is also a very comfortable position. It's also attacking onto this um, weak f2 pawn as well, and at the same time you have to white has to save the knight as well. So the best for white here is to develop his knight on c3, defending this pawn on e4, and the best for black is to develop his bishop on bishop b4. So what black is trying to do is to pin this knight so he can win this pawn at e4. So on this position, the best for the white is to develop his lighter square bishop and give away this pawn for free. So as soon as you develop the knight, so the queen will capture e4, and as now is the time for white to castle, and now this knight can attack onto this queen. So either you can move the queen away or you can capture the knight. So if you capture the knight, the white will have the double pawns onto the c file. But same goes to the black as well. The knight at d4 can capture the knight at c6, and then the black will also have a double pawn onto the c file. Another variation which you can play from this position is bishop to c5. So you are increasing a pressure onto this, and the same time increasing a pressure onto the f2 pawn. So the best for white here is to play bishop to c3 and then queen to f6. So the idea is to attack on this d4 square. So c3 from the white, you can see such a move, and then knight to g7. So in case uh, white takes the knight, so you should avoid the double pawns onto the c file, then you can have a defender for the knight at c6. What you can see is bishop to c4. So the best is to play knight to e5, attacking onto this bishop. If white has to retreat the bishop at e2, and then black has a luxury to play queen to g6, attacking onto this g2 as well as onto this e4 pawn. So of course castle is the must at this point, but before capturing uh, e4 you can play d6. It's not only defending this bishop but also preparing g3, which will be very devastating. So this is one way to play to counter the Scotch game from the black's perspective, friends. So friends, let's have a look at one last variation. So from this position, from this position, when knight takes d4, you simply play knight to f6. In response to knight to f6, e5 cannot be played at the moment because it can simply be captured, but white can capture your knight c6 here, and then you will have a double pawn onto the c file. So that is fine there, but there's one variation which I would like to show you, say, but at this point you really cannot capture from the d pawn, so you have to capture it from the b pawn. But friends, before I finish, I would like to show you one more variation, which usually comes e4, and then you play e5, and then d4, and then knight to f3, and then knight to c6. But rather than d4, white usually delays this move by one, by bishop to c4. So here, whenever white plays bishop to c4, you always play knight to f6. Yes, this is two knight defense, and now d4 can be played. So that's another slight variation, although it's a two knight defense of the Italian game, which I have a separate video on this, but that's also usually played in the Scotch games. And uh, here black needs to be careful. If you capture this pawn at d4, white can simply play e5, and even if you play d5, so assuming you will capture my knight and I will capture your bishop, uh, as a white player, I will always capture e takes f6, because if even if you capture d takes c4, I will have another capture at d takes f6. And if you see, and now you see, the black's pawn chain has been completely destroyed. Although bishop can take the g7, and black can castle onto the king side, but you will see the white has an upper command from this from here on. So friends, that's all from for the Scotch game for today. Hope I've tried to show you in this video how you should play against the Scotch games, how you should defend it. Let me know in the comments if you like this video. Do subscribe to my channel. Till then, take care. Bye bye.